Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Crane, and I am the Program Director of the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. And you are listening to Global Industry Spotlight, a conversational series focused on providing resources and insight for the creative entrepreneur. We are streaming live out of the Comcast Business Startup Studio, a room designed for Chicago's small business community located at 2112, Chicago's first music, tech, and film incubator. Today, the Global Industry Spotlight is on Chan C. Smith, a multi-platform filmmaker and content creator. Her work includes narrative filmmaking, documentaries, editorial, and branded content. Chan has created content for brands such as Nike Chicago, Parents Magazine, the NBA, and the Biden-Harris campaign. She is committed to exploring unique methods of storytelling from the inception phase to final deliverables. Previously, she served as the multimedia producer at EBONY and JET Magazines. Chan has directed, captured, and produced interviews and cover shoots with high-profile celebrities such as Ava Duvernay, Kevin Hart, John Legend, Jurnee Smollett, Chance the Rapper, NBA stars Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook, and notable public figures including Nikki Giovanni, Van Jones, and Sandra Bland's mother, Geneva Reed-Veal. I'm really excited to have Chan C. Smith here today with us to talk to us kind of about her career. She's a 2112 friend, and it's great. So let's bring her into the conversation. Hi, Chan.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Like reading that bio, it's such it's a lot of work. It's a lot of stuff that you have put down, and congratulations first of all for this the success of being able to kind of produce all of that work.
Yeah. I mean, even every time it gets read, I'm just like, man, that sounds like a really awesome filmmaker.
Right, I know, it's
I
like,
feel
oh,
like,
that's me.
right. I'm like, oh wait, that's me. So yeah, no, it's been fun. It's been truly just a blessing to be able to do some of those things. I mean, just being in the right place at the right time, connecting with the right people, and just being able to kind of have some of those opportunities. It really helped shape my career, and it's still helping to shape my career to this day. So I'm very grateful for everything that's happened up to this point.
Yeah, and I feel like too, when you started saying it's great, that filmmaker sounds great. As a as an entrepreneur, someone who's building their own path and creating their own path, sometimes, well, most of the time, you don't necessarily look back and kind of are able to take that breath to look at, what you have done so far. It's just it's such a grind and a hustle to build that, and you're focused on the next thing, and then it's kind of like you look back, you're like, oh wow, like I've actually accomplished a lot, made a lot of moves, so that's great. So let's just talk a little bit about kind of your background, how you got into the work that you are doing right now in filmmaking and photography and director of photography and all of that.
Yeah, so I basically started, I mean, I really started when I was a kid. I had my mom bought me a camera one day, and I just kind of took it from there, just filming stuff around the house, filming stuff with family members and friends. And then it just really grew into something that I really wanted to do. I actually was trying to go for engineering when I went to college, and I took one math class. It was called finite mathematics, and I missed one day, and I was that was it. That was the end of my Bachelor of Science degree. So
Right.
I ended up switching to a Bachelor of Arts, where I was like, well, I can do video, I can do communications, I can do photography and things like that. That's stuff that I've already been doing. So I figured I would just major in that instead. And so once I got out of school, it just, didn't take off immediately. I actually was working at a few different places like Panera Bread and, Leona's in Hyde Park. Like, it didn't take off immediately, but I started to just kind of do videos for my friends. And just, from there, it just kind of snowballed, because people were like, oh man, this is really cool. And can you do this? Can you shoot my wedding? Can you shoot my birthday party? Can you shoot this commercial? Can you shoot this corporate video? And I was like, Well, yeah, I mean, I don't really know exactly how to do all those things, but I'm, for sure going to try. I know the basics. And so really, it took a lot of studying, even up until now. Like, I'm still studying to this day, just trying to figure out different techniques, different just ways of making content, ways of making film. And then, just recently, I was actually on a CCE panel in 2020, where I met Lisa Masur, and she's the owner of Tessa Films. And she heard my story, and we talked, and she was like, I'd love to bring you on my roster as a director. And I was like, oh snap! Like, I didn't know, I didn't really know, like,
Right.
I didn't really know how to package my work. I just, had all of these amazing things that I've done at EBONY and JET,
Mm-hmm.
interviews with like celebrities, event coverage, all these different types of videos. And I just didn't know how to package it. And so, and speaking to her, she's been like a great mentor and everything. Like, she's been able to kind of, just kind of bring it, funnel everything into one place, and kind of, put me out there as a commercial director, which is what I'm doing now. So.
And in terms of, so it was a couple of things I wanted to, talk about that you mentioned. So, you start out as a lot of independent, artists or creatives, you know, I mean, I was selling shoes, at Marshall Fields, women's shoes, like, I mean, so you had these side jobs, and then you start to kind of pick up gigs, and you said birthday parties and weddings, and was there a moment for you where you realized, wait a second, this is, starting to work, you know, or was it just like, I'm just going to keep going and see where this takes me, and that's kind of my attitude right now?
Yeah, I think I definitely had like a really strong momentum going into it, because I was like, oh man, I'm actually making money from this. I mean, in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning it was like $100 there, $100 there. Not so much now, but it's just something that, I had to figure out for myself. Like, I had to figure out what my worth was. And so,
Right.
in the beginning, like I said, the momentum was strong. Like, I was ready and down for whatever. Like, I was down to shoot almost anything. And then it got to a point where, I was like, okay, let me try to define what it is that I want to offer. And for me, it was more so offering like inspirational visuals. So, like, visuals that people can kind of feel something from, like they can have an emotional impact from these visuals. And that came in the form of so many different things, like, the weddings for sure. I think I've probably cried on every single wedding edit that I've ever done. And then also, just the other, documentary style things that I do. Like, I think my you know my eye for all of this like really developed, I will say, when I was in church, because I was basically filming for a church that I had just recently joined. And from there, it just kind of like allowed me to capture people, in their best element, or like their best light, and just not have to think about like, oh, this has to look this way or this has to look that way, but really just like kind of sitting in, whatever is happening around me, and being able to capture it, and kind of give that out to the masses. So I hope I answered your question. If
Yeah.
not,
No, that is it, and it leads into my next question.
Mhm.
When you mentioned, okay, so you now have all this amazing content that you have shot, and you're building up this archive, you're building up this repertoire, and you talked about organizing that. How do I present myself, know my worth, and organize all this content to show the world, okay, this is what C. Smith is. Talk about just that process, or you mentioned Tessa Films, and how they kind of helped, or Lisa helped you put that together. I would, I'm going to tell everyone, I'm going to put it down here. Go to Chan's website. When you go to that website, it's correct. I mean, it looks great. I mean, you did a great job with that. So congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. And so you said the organizing
Yeah, just
aspect.
so you have all this. Okay, so now I have all this work. How do I bring it together, and present kind of the story of this filmmaker, you know.
Ooh, man, that was tough. That was
Hmm.
tough. I don't think that I could have done it for myself. Like, I think I needed somebody else to look and see what it is that I offer, because to me, I know how I feel about it. Like, I know how I feel about the things that I capture. There's certain things that I, want to put in my demo reel, but then other people are like, oh, it doesn't really translate well. But I know how I felt in that moment. So it's kind of like I needed somebody else to kind of look at everything as a whole to kind of help bring it all together. So I think, the thing that, Lisa kind of helped me with was just really figuring out like what visuals were like the most impactful, in terms of, not even just like what you're actually seeing, but what you're actually feeling. And
Mm.
so, I have some documentary pieces that are like, man, tear jerkers, you know what I mean? And then it's like, I just have some really visually stimulating, like, promotional content. So it's just kind of like I have so many things. Like, I think I've done over about 400 pieces of content in my whole career. So, you
Right.
know what I mean? It's kind of hard to like bring all of that stuff down. And so I think, just having that help from Lisa, like, she definitely helped me do that. I think, what I also wanted to add was just like the things that I find important are things that um somebody can look at 5 years from now and be like, oh man, that was really inspiring. Like, that interview with that person, like, man, I've never heard anything like that. Like, that was an incredible question to ask them. Or like, just capturing people as they are, and people are able to be inspired from their stories. Like, my whole existence is based on other people's stories, and being able to tell their stories and hear and listen to what they have to say, and also be able to translate that visually to the masses. So
Yeah, I mean, and I like that you talked about, and I think this is for, other filmmakers and entrepreneurs. Like, I needed help. Like, I need someone outside to look at the work and give me some perspective, and also, help organize my own thoughts of what is the core of my work. What is the truth of it? What do I really want to carry out there? Um, okay, so transitioning from, you built this amazing career in Chicago, and you're now, you moved out to LA, and you're going back and forth between Chicago and LA. Like, this is, I mean, it's the dream, I think, for a lot of people. And maybe, and sometimes probably a nightmare, just of how to balance and stay ahead of everything, and healthy and all of that. Can you just talk about, that transition for you as a filmmaker, what it has meant, some of the exciting things, and maybe some of the drawbacks in general?
yeah, I mean, you know, being able to work in Chicago and LA at the same time, like, has always been a dream. I first had that dream like literally 10 years ago, when I, directed my first film, which was Girls Like Us. Uh, uh, and we actually went to the Hollywood Black Film Festival. Like, that was my first time ever going to LA. And it's, as soon as I got there, I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with this place. Like, I felt like it was more my speed. Of course I'm, Chicago all day, Bulls all day. But at the same time, I knew that my career probably needed to go to another level. And I think that other level, well, at least I wanted to explore the idea of, living in LA for some time, and trying to navigate that networking, networking world, as well. And so, just recently this year in April, that's when I actually moved to LA, packed everything up, got everything shipped. And even to this day, like, it's still fresh. It's still pretty fresh.
Of course. Of course.
I, of course, spent a lot of time, over the years, going back and forth to LA doing different projects. But now it's like I live there. Like, it's a totally different feeling, So since I've been there, things have been a little slow, only because what, and I'll say, when I first got there, I was definitely overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God, like I'm actually in LA. And so I think, it really became real for me, just in the sense of like, okay, now, I've made this move. I got to do what I got to do to, continue to have my name out there, but then also put my name in other places, because, Chicago, I've been shooting in Chicago, for a very long time. And I at one point I kind of felt like I kind of hit a ceiling.
Right.
But now that I live in LA and I'm coming back and forth to Chicago now, I'm falling in love with the city all over again, because it's like I'm seeing it from a different perspective. I'm seeing it from, just kind of taking a step back and not being so, having to worry about like all the things that happen in Chicago, like, being from the South Side. It's not the prettiest, situation all the time. Like
Right.
Chicago is a beautiful city, but it's not always the prettiest situation. Like, just walking down the street, there's a lot of fear, just trying to go from point A to point B. And so in LA, it's not, you don't have that. You don't have that type of fear. And so I think looking at it from, an outsider's perspective, Chicago is so beautiful, man. Like
Right.
it's just like, God, like I miss it a lot. I do miss it a lot. And I found myself actually taking pictures and video of Chicago in places that I've never even captured that perspective. So now I'm looking at Chicago in a totally different way. And I think that going forward, of course, I can always tell the story of Chicago, but being in LA, I also need to figure out the story of LA. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like it's like it's like almost starting from scratch. Like it's starting over in a sense, but I still have my roots in Chicago, but
Yeah,
this
but
LA
you
journey is different. Yeah.
yeah, and it seems, I love the idea of how you have expanded your perspective,
Mhm.
of the place where, you grew up, did all the shooting and the videoing, and filmmaking, and how now coming back, you see it in a different light. And then having to do it all over again in LA.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I think that I can imagine it's going to cause a tremendous amount of growth, maybe not always the most comfortable growth.
Mhm.
But I can see how just being able to, be in two cities, understand the cultures, learn about the cultures, and even the working culture and the filmmaking, it sounds exciting. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
stressful at times as well.
Mhm.
But being able to have both of those. I had a friend who went out to LA for acting. And it was funny because as soon as he moved out to LA, all of a sudden he started to get a lot of work in Chicago. Um,
Exactly. That's what happened to me. Yep.
yeah, so he was like, man, I just moved out here and now I'm flying back all the time, for work in Chicago. So,
Mhm.
okay, so you're, moved to LA, super new there. What are you working on? What are kind of some of the hopes? What are things that, you see kind of in your future?
Yeah, so in my future, I definitely, the things that I'm working on now are mostly Chicago based. I have a documentary that I'm going to be working on in the fall. But out in LA, like my goal is actually, I mean, I can probably do that here too, but my goal is actually to get into television directing. And so just trying to figure out like how to navigate that, do whatever studying I need to do, getting to, whatever circles that I need to get into for that. But right now, the main focus is, just doing what I'm doing at Tessa Films, and doing the commercial productions and these documentaries. So yeah.
Yeah. And for filmmakers who, are coming up in the industry, what are some things that you would, suggest for them, or advice, as they're, growing their careers and they're having the same dreams that you had, and, want to go to LA or build a career that they can travel? What would you say to them?
Oh man. I would say, and I'm sure everybody is gonna say this, but like you really just have to keep working. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't give up. Like, I mean, it's been plenty of times, even probably recently, where I've been like, you know what, I'm finna just get a desk job. Like, I'm just you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
this stuff is for the birds, just
yeah.
getting, discouraged or whatever. But then as soon as that happens, like, something comes along where it's like, oh, this is like a really dope opportunity, in terms of film.
Mm,
And so, that's all I can really say is just like keep going. Like, you just have to go at your own pace. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really be looking, left and right and try to figure out like, oh, I need to be like Ava Duvernay or I need to be like Spike
mm,
Lee. No, you be like Chan. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, you be like Daniel. You be like
Mhm,
whoever you want to be. And just take your time and try to figure out, what it is that you want to learn, continue to learn, the types of projects that you really want to put out there. You have to kind of figure out what it means to you, and for yourself and not for anybody else. And that's basically what's going to keep you going. So
Well, there you have it, everyone. Chancey Smith, she's in it right now, right? So, like, already successful filmmaker, who has moved out to LA, building a career. I'm just going to put her website below, chanceysmith.com. Even just to look at her website and see what a professional website looks like, that, it's a great site. So definitely check that out. Again, Chan, thank you so much for taking the time to, talk to me today and jump on with us. It's great to just, watch your journey. And definitely, we're all rooting for you here at CCE and 2112. Wishing you much success in the end of the year and stuff. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate, just even being here. So
great.
thank you.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, everyone. Chancey Smith, a successful, filmmaker, director of photography, has established a great career here in Chicago, moved out to LA, is building her contacts there and her network there, is now flying back and forth, and really doing it. And I think, her advice was just put in the work, keep working. And that at times it feels like this maybe, not the thing for me, or it's too hard, and you just have to kind of put your head down and keep going. Again, my name is Daniel Crane. I am the program director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, and this was another episode of Global Industry Spotlight, a conversational series focused on providing resources and insight for the creative entrepreneur. We are streaming out of the Comcast Business Startup Studio located at 2112, Chicago's first music, film, and tech incubator. Thank you to Comcast Business and Shore for providing the tools necessary to make our programming possible. Visit ccglobal.org to register for free workshops offered by our partners. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, and tune in next Thursday for another episode of Global Industry Spotlight with Sarah Posius and Sam Hulick, the founders of Real Crafter, a platform for musical artists, including composers, musicians, and songwriters, to showcase their music to potential clients. I'm wishing everyone a wonderful rest of the week and weekend. We will talk to you soon. Again, check out our website. We got some exciting things coming up, and we will speak with you soon. All right. Take care.